Okay. Hiya, good to see you
Ah,
today.
it's so good to see you, Rachel. Oh my gosh, it's been a while.
Yeah, I feel like we start every video saying it's been a while.
It has been a while, yes, yes, yes. But this has definitely been since before February 18th.
Yes,
That's when I went to New York.
yes, yes.
So, yeah, yeah.
Very exciting. All right. Shall we get started?
Yes, so this is a another episode of Chizuk in Shidduchim. And this is Rachel Burnham, my partner in crime here. She is a dating coach, among a lot of other things. And she has a beautiful website called her coaching practice is dategreat.com, D, the number 8, GR, the number 8.com, where she has all sorts of resources for people of all backgrounds, affiliations, Jews, non-Jew, everything in between, and is just a really great resource herself for guidance for not just singles in the dating world, but also for mothers of people in the dating world like me. And I'm Chaya Parkoff. I'm a licensed clinical social worker. And I have my own company called Spark Insights Counseling, Coaching, and Consulting with a division of first class aging. So I deal with lots of people in that realm as well. So it is May 5th, 2020, and we are deep in Corona-cation, Corona vacation. And I would say not a blessing. You know, people say, oh, there are blessings. Who's to judge? Not everything has been such a blessing, but there are certainly, Rabbi Y.Y. Jacobson said, they've certainly been springboards, right? So it's been a springboard for a family time for a lot of people and things like that. So Rachel, I have like a big looming question for you. uh, the do's and don'ts of dating during Corona. Wow.
Yes.
As someone who sets people up and also the mom of daughters who are in the dating world, although one of them is one of my third daughter is engaged, which is very exciting, and she's
Very
getting married,
exciting.
God willing, in August in a backyard wedding, which we're very excited about. We're going to invite a lot of people, live stream, and about 50 people will be there in person. And but I have girls that are dating, and I know lots of people, guys and girls, that are in the dating scene. It's like, how do you do this? And can you do this? And does it make sense to do this? So I just want to hear from you, and we'll see if I have anything to interject. But I think that I would just really like to hear what you have to say and what your experience has been.
Okay, so first of all, I think it's been amazing to watch how the Frum community has we always try to like reinvent the wheel and try to figure out a new way to do something. And so as soon as this hit, the amount of chesed and the amount of creativity and innovation, everyone kind of gathering together and figuring out, it took a little time to kind of get our bearings, but I feel like in the dating world, people have really taken off with it, really taken off with it. And what I mean by that is that in the beginning, it was like, well, maybe we really don't have to Zoom date, maybe we can go on in person. It's not really a reality anymore, especially in New York, where a lot of my clients are from. So, this is what the new norm is for right now. And so for a lot of people, it's been a little stressful. And for a lot of people, it's been really great. And we'll get into whys. And we don't really have a choice. So we're going to have to do it this way. And so everyone has to make their own decisions for themselves based on what they feel most comfortable doing. And I'll give a few options for either direction. The first thing I want to say is that, just because we have Zoom dating going on, not everyone is going to feel like they want to be doing that. And that is okay. And that is a choice that I respect. And we have to know that that will be a reality for some people. But even though that is a choice for some people, in that time, I do recommend that people make room for preparing themselves for dating, whether or not they're reading a book on dating, whether or not they're doing their own growth or doing their own, kind of what I call deep sea diving into like themselves and figuring out things that might be blocking them or things that might hold them back, or working through their own fears or anxiety with marriage and dating in general, so that when you get back into things, you're kind of primed and you're ready to go. So if that's a choice that you want to make, that you or your child or your son or daughter decide that the Zoom thing is not working for me, I tried it many times, I can't be myself, I would recommend that you not give up on the whole idea of dating in the practical sense, but maybe more in the theoretical sense, and focus in on yourself and things that you've always been meaning to work on, focus on, think about. Maybe you want to call a coach and discuss a few things that have been getting in the way of your dating. Look at your dating patterns and think about what has been working here, what can be working better. Maybe I can work on that while I have this time. And then once things go back, I'll be ready. So that's what I want to say to those people who don't want to Zoom date. And to those who, and then there's this category of those who didn't think that they were going to be able to do it, but they actually are, and they're doing great. And so one of the interesting things about Zoom dating is that, we have a little distraction when we're on a call one-to-one, right? I see you, you see me. So we can't really get so distracted by so many other things for the most part, because it's just you and me. And so because of that, we have to often shrink the length of the date so that it's not too intense and too much focus and like, oh gosh, I don't know what to say. Help me come up with a topic, right? So it doesn't get too awkward. And the other thing is that we have to also make sure that we come up with things to do, just like you'd go on a date and you'd prepare to go to this, museum, or you'd go to that interesting exhibit, or you'd go to a restaurant. Whatever you would do, you have to prepare something, whether or not it's a virtual museum, taking someone to the San Diego Zoo online, playing a game of Boggle or Scrabble or headbands, or there's so many different dating games and things that you can be doing that could be fun, and you can actually tie it into things that you want to know about this person, but you have to put an effort. If you show up and just expect that it's just going to take off on its own, it definitely could, but chances are it'll be harder. And you really need to do a little preparation and work in order to kind of get started. So I would say kind of be prepared, come with your best foot forward, come with a positive attitude. Yeah, in the beginning it's going to be uncomfortable, it's going to be a little bit unusual and not what you're used to, but for a lot of people, guys are like, wow, I'm saving so much money, this is so great, right? And girls are like, wow, the dates are shorter, I only have to get dressed, waist up, this is wonderful.
Right.
So, for a lot of people, they're actually enjoying it. There's all these like speed dating Zoom events going on. There's all these classes on dating going on. There's like really unbelievable creative ideas on like where to date and all kinds of things you can do, while you're on a date. And people are doing maybe a phone call, they're doing, let's say, a Zoom date, and then, kind of alternating between those two. Maybe we'll do something fun one day, we'll have a deeper conversation another time, and kind of alternating with different permutations of that. I do have some people that are further ahead in their Zoom dating, and for those couples, they're at a point where like they really do have to meet, because otherwise it's either going to be over or it's going to be just kind of stale. So they've been practicing social distance dating, where kind of everyone goes to an outdoor location, let's say a park or something, usually with a mask, and everyone drives in their own car. They meet at a general location and they just kind of stay 6 feet away, which is great for Shomer Negia. That's always great. So I'm very happy. Go for a walk and a talk, just to see like, is that chemistry that I've been feeling the past couple of weeks, month or two, if that's actually real, can this actually take off? And you don't even need to have so many of those if things are really going well. But I do have couples that are at that stage, because they are at this point are ready to like really ramp things up, and they don't want to do that unless they meet. A few things I'll say about Zoom dating are that if a couple really hits it off with great chemistry without any distractions, chances are in reality they'll hit it off even better, right? Because when you have the trees and the sun and interesting things to look at as you're walking and talking, it could make for great conversation. But if just you and I can hit it off just without, hi, I've never met you, right?
I know, isn't that crazy? We've never met, right?
We're great friends. We do this all the time, and we've never met. So you can tell if there's chemistry, even like friendship chemistry. You can tell if you can have a nice conversation with someone, even if we're not face to face. And I'm sure if I met you, it would be like, oh my gosh, meeting you in person, but I feel like I know you because I do, right? So
Yes.
try to think of it like that, because it really is possible. And it's true that some people are not comfortable with it, but that doesn't mean that it can't work. And so we have to go back to what I talk about a lot, which is we don't date in order to be comfortable. We date in order to be married, right? If we want to be comfortable, you know, we should get a massage, go for a facial, you know, go for a nice swim, you know, sip your favorite drink on the beach with a great book. But that's not what we're doing here. We're trying to find the right person to spend hopefully forever with. And with that will take a little sacrifice and sometimes some ups and downs and not always be so easy, but that doesn't mean it can't be good. And that doesn't mean we can't find what we're looking for. So that's just to get started. And
can I ask you a question on one thing? Okay. First of all, I want to apologize for keep drinking water. I just have to keep hydrating my kidneys. So sure. I and apparently I just read an article that a friend sent to me that when I forgot who the Rav was in Israel told him this. Can't remember, but I can give a bracha. My bracha is that we see many, 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 many easy in terms of clarity through Zoom and however means that we're able to do it responsibly and safely, that we should see merit to see lots and lots and lots of engagements and weddings and long, long, long marriages with children and simcha and nachas. And really everyone should be well, that this should end quickly, this virus, but that we should be able to take advantage and use it as a springboard for only for good. So that's my bracha. I donated a kidney on February 25th. People say to a stranger, and I say, well, it was just a person I hadn't met yet. They weren't a stranger, and now they're family. I call them my kidney brother, and a kidney son and a kidney sister. And they're actually they're a Russian couple. They had both moved to Israel, and they met in Israel. And he served in the Russian army, and he served in the Lebanon War. And his oldest son, served in the IDF. And anyway, he's 50 years old, and he got high blood pressure several years ago, and his kidney was shutting down. And it was really a miracle that he ended up being my recipient. And thank God before we got out, I was saying I ran 6 miles today, and he's been running 4 miles a day. And he sent me his blood work screenshot today, and all his levels are great. And Gershom Ben Galina, he'll always need tefillos because, as when you have something foreign in your body, you have to keep taking medications and things like that. But I feel amazing. The only thing I have to do is drink a lot of water because I only have 1 kidney now. But I had 2, and you know what? I only needed 1, and so now he's got 1. So
maybe always be on the giving end.
Amen. So in terms of, this is great what you've been saying so far. So in terms of just on a little bit of there's a little detail, but I'm just curious. Generally speaking, the guy is responsible for the first couple of dates in terms of planning and things like that. So are you seeing more either guy plans, girl shows up to Zoom, or there's collaboration? Are they needing to come up with ideas? And how do you, do that? And I just also want to say that I love your attitude of your idea that if somebody is maybe not interested in dating right now, right, they just feel like this is just not a good time, and especially now during the Sphira when we're counting. I just gave a class right before here on the whole idea of improving ourselves and working on ourselves, and whether it's dating coaching, needing coaching and certain things, maybe it's overcoming certain anxieties and things like that. So between the two of us, we can cover it, you're a dating coach and me doing therapy. So, and life coaching as well, that, I just think that was wonderful. But just in terms of the planning, I'm just curious what you're seeing.
So there's no one right way or wrong way. Typically, the guy is definitely starting with the planning as a guy would do, set something up as a guy would start off in a typical dating setting planning. But I have seen a lot of collaboration, and also he wants to do something that she's going to enjoy. So if he could do a virtual museum or a virtual zoo, he might say like,
Right.
you know, what would you like? So just kind of think about things that will bring up, you know, a fun experience, and not just focus on like an interview kind of, so how do you
Yeah.
want to raise your family? You know, we want it to be a little more fun, a little more interactive. So I've seen a lot of collaboration, and I've seen a lot of the guy take the first lead, but then also switching off has been fun. I've seen different scavenger hunts where you have to like, you know, plant different scavenger hunts around different places in the world, and they have to go find out like using the clues like what countries they might be
Oh,
in.
that's cute.
There's some really, really great things. You can tour the budding tulips in Holland now. They're gorgeous, like the fields. You can just see the fields of like gorgeous, gorgeous colors. I mean, there's so, you can essentially really tour the whole world virtually. And it's a lot cheaper, and it's
Yes.
beautiful and fascinating, and brings up some interesting conversations. But then, of course, we also want to balance that with having some real conversation, because we don't want to waste too much time just kind of hanging out and having fun if this is not really kind of productive for where we see ourselves heading. And I have had couples who feel like everything's great. I just feel like I need that face to face to know, like, is there actually chemistry there, or is it just the Zoom that's throwing me off? And so
Yeah.
some of those couples have chosen to kind of pause things, and just put it on hold. And they feel like they've done enough dating on Zoom to say that things are good, but they also need to like have a face to face. So when this is all over, we'll pick it up, you know, then. I have some couples that are like about to be engaged, and like just waiting till you can get a flight to just fly there and propose in person. So it's like really frustrating, but they did a lot of dating, you know, before all of this. And
Right. They
I
didn't start on
didn't
Zoom. They
start on
started before. Yeah.
Zoom. They started
Yeah.
before, but a lot of it has been on Zoom.
Sure.
So, and now they're ready to get engaged. So we're just kind of like trying to, you know, get them there. It's like, what do you do when a couple wants to get engaged? You're not going to propose, you know, over Zoom.
Virtual
Yeah,
proposals.
it's
You
so
have to
awkward.
meet. You have to meet.
Exactly. So we're trying, you know, so each couple has their own sort of challenge. But I got to say, like, I got to hand it to all the singles out there. They are trying their best. They're putting on their best, you know, their best foot forward, and they're making it happen. There's a lot happening. Like I said, a lot of Zoom speed dating events. You know, they have different chat rooms where you like, you go from one room to the other, and then you rotate. They have
Oh,
either one-on-one speed dating, or they have like group speed dating, where like 4-on-4 in different rooms, and you're placed in different rooms, and people are, you know, moving room to room. And so there's like some really great stuff going on, and most of it is free because there's no cost. There's no
right.
food, there's no driving, there's no, you know, you're not getting a venue. So it's, the guys are really loving it because they're saving a lot of money. The girls are loving it because, get this, a lot of my girls that are a little bit heavier, and
Right.
are beautiful, feel that a guy can see them and get to know them for a
Yeah.
longer time before actually kind of judging their body image. And so they feel
Yes.
very comfortable with that. Some of them are actually doing really well on Zoom and actually scared to go to a face to face date because they're scared it's going to potentially ruin things. But at least it's giving them that extra opportunity, kind of
Right.
waist up to, or, you know, shoulders up, to get to someone to
Right.
get to know them without being judged just for that. And so that's really great. And so I predict a lot of really, really great things coming from Zoom dating, and also maybe some shidduchim that we might not have predicted, um,
Mhm.
because people are being open and girls are getting dates because, hey, we're on Zoom. It's much easier, you
Right.
know, because all of a sudden, you know, distance doesn't matter. You know, you can live in California or Colorado or be next door. It's all going to be on Zoom. So all these girls that are living out of town are now getting all these options, and guys are saying yes.
Right.
So there's like all
Because
these
it's all the
different,
same.
yeah, we're
It's all
all
the
the same. So there's a lot of interesting things going on that I really feel like, lots of good things are going to come out of it. And I really predict that a whole bunch of couples are going to get
same.
engaged through
Amen.
Zoom, and then maybe just like meet a couple times and be like, yeah, this is
Yeah,
it.
that's beautiful. And I think what it points to is just, first of all, what I kept thinking as you were speaking is just resilience.
Yeah,
This the resilience that people have, but also to always remember that like Hakadosh Baruch Hu brought this for for whatever reason, we don't know, again, we don't know, but we certainly, there's things we can, there are benefits, there are springboards for growth. And I think that one of the, I call it collateral beauty, right? Some of the collateral beauty of this is, it's inconvenient, it's annoying, whatever, but you know what? It's exactly what Hashem wants for us right now.
Right.
And so this is the way he wants us to be dating right now,
Yeah.
safely, as opposed to, unfortunately, people that are not holding by those things. And so, there's a level, I think, of kedusha, an extra kind of bracha that's involved in accepting the situation and making the best of it. This is what Jews do.
Yeah.
What we're all supposed to be doing, but this is what we do. And so I think there'll be a lot of, just remember, okay, this is what Hashem wants, and we just kind of roll with it and keep asking him for clarity. And
one of the wonderful things that I have seen come out of this is that it's hit everyone, but particularly when you're, searching for your basher, in a sense where let's focus on what's really important.
Mm-hmm.
Is he 5'7" or 5'9"? Who cares? When I see him on the screen, it's fine, right? What's important is that I respect him, we connect, we value each other's company, we appreciate like where we're both holding in terms of our futures and goals and values. So it's really kind of made everybody kind of focus on what's really important and not get stuck on the little things. And that's why I predict a lot of shidduchim happening that might not have happened before, which I think is a huge bracha for everyone, right? So
amazing.
That's also been a great benefit to come out of it. A couple of things that are a little bit challenging but not difficult, I just want to kind of bring up is, for some of the couples that are going from a Zoom dating to like finally up to that face-to-face, their Zoom relationship has had a lot of time to develop, but their face-to-face relationship hasn't. So sometimes there's a little bit of a bumpiness when they transition because they're not really used to being face-to-face, and it can seem a little awkward or unnatural, or it can seem like they're really a stranger. But it doesn't take too long. I would say it doesn't take more than 2, maybe 3 dates for things to just kind of ease up, really just not more than 1 or 2. And so people should know that going in, that there could be like a little bit of a lag from where the Zoom relationship is holding to where the face-to-face relationship is just starting.
Do you recommend interspersing, like slowly, gradual, like maybe you'll meet, you're doing Zoom, then you meet and you want to continue, right? So then maybe you Zoom again. And then you meet.
If some of it depends on the restrictions of where you live, right? Right. Some of the cities that people are living in have higher restrictions than others. So some of it's dependent on that. Some of it depends on people's, work schedules. Some people can't take off in the middle of the day because they're working online, so it really depends on what people are up to and what each couple feels they need at the time. So for some couples, they feel like I just need a face-to-face to say I want to continue on Zoom, right? And other people are saying, I just can't do this anymore. I need to just once a week be able to have a socially distant face-to-face, but at least it's face-to-face.
Gotcha.
Just so it feels a little bit more normal and natural and I can like move it forward or not. So everyone's really kind of different. It depends. It depends on, what everybody's kind of going through.
Great.
Got it? All right. So I wanted to move on to a few other things that are important during a Zoom date. So especially for girls, lighting is very important, right? So when you have like
bad example, good example. I'm in the closet.
So brings into this kind of stuff, right? So when you have heavy lighting coming down over here, it kind of gives you like a dark, shadowy kind of look. Glasses will reflect that light, right? So for you and I, it doesn't matter. But if you're going to try to put your best foot forward on a date, right, you want to maybe take off those glasses, make sure that you have like brighter lighting, preferably lighting that's coming at you as opposed to heavy from on top. The heavier the makeup is not necessarily good. Like I would say, natural is good. Obviously you want to wear something, otherwise you're going to get washed out by lighting, but don't like just pack it on because it's not going to work in your best interest. Typically very busy patterns can be a little bit distracting to the eye. So, like let's say a solid shirt with like a nice necklace.
We didn't plan this, right? Busy.
We did it.
Plain glasses, bad lighting, we're good. Don't do.
So just some things in order to like make you look your best,
Yes.
so to speak. Those are just a few tips here and there. Also, if you're in a place which is noisy, obviously try to get into a quieter place where you're not going to be disturbed and you're not going to be distracted, where your internet works so you're not getting cut off all the time because you're getting bumped on and off. That's very, very disruptive
Right.
on a Zoom call. So people need to just get their internet straight, make sure that they're ready on time, that their lighting is good, that they are not look like they're putting on too much because it'll look just kind of cakey. And that they're not completely wearing something so distracting that it's very busy to the eye. Those would be some of the things that I would recommend for a girl specifically. For a guy, he still should, doesn't have to take a shower. No one's sniffing him. But I do recommend it because I feel that it makes a person feel different about themselves. Take a shower, a girl puts on her makeup. Like, you feel different when you get dressed, you act different. And I think that every person deserves that level of dignity and respect. So I do recommend that. And a guy needs to come prepared with some sort of activity, game, idea of like what he would like to be doing. I know somebody ordered food he had Uber Eats send food to him and to the girl,
That is
and they had like dinner together over Zoom, so he sent her dinner.
first date.
What?
First date.
No, it was probably like a third.
Okay.
But still, I thought it was really creative, and
Love it.
sky's the limit with creativity. And I think that it brings out the best in everyone. And a girl sees like, wow, that was so interesting. That was so creative. Wow, that took so much effort. I feel so, cared for that a guy put in that amount of effort.
Yes.
And so this is a way where a guy can really just kind of shine in that way, and not just like, oh, I'll just take her to any old restaurant, but be creative. Shows a girl that you care, that dating matters to you, and that maybe even I'm important to you, right? So those are just kind of a few little things here and there that we can do. Like I said before, we don't want to keep it too long. Like, I don't recommend that first Zoom dates be more than 45 minutes. It could just be too much and too intense. If you're both having a great time, you'll go out another time. Further dates, I don't like to keep them more than 2 hours unless it's going so fabulously well and you're both having such a great time that you want to continue, and also make sure that the other person isn't just being polite, but is actually having a good time.
Right.
So the first couple of dates, at least until you're kind of, dropping the shotgun or kind of really just going on your own, you really want to make sure that this person is comfortable with that length of face-to-face. For some people, it could be too intense, and you can alternate, phone call, Zoom, you can alternate and do like what you think is best based on what the two of you kind of decide. Any questions?
Love it. No, I think that you answered really.
I'm just kind of go through here.
Yeah.
All right.
I want to know
I had a list of a few ideas I wanted to kind of bring up, so I'm just trying to make sure that I brought up a bunch of them. Don't take yourself too seriously. Like, laughing at yourself is always helpful. And when it comes to having like an awkward situation where like, hi, this is a date on Zoom, it could be awkward. Sometimes the best way to just release that tension is to be like, let's just call it out. This is kind of awkward, don't you think?
Exactly.
On Zoom, that's ridiculous. Just kind of call it out and kind of decrease the tension so everyone can be a little bit more themselves, even though this is not, really face-to-face themselves. It's what we got right now, and we're going to have to work with it. And like I said, all the reasons I described, I really see a lot of great things coming from it. And I think it's also good to like get a conversation started with the person you're dating about, how's this working for you? Are you working at home? Are you not? Are you bored? Are you overwhelmed? Get into some of the real things, because people are going through all kinds of interesting feelings. And I feel like when we're going through things like that, it gives us an opportunity to share in a way that we normally wouldn't. And that creates connection. And what we're looking for is to create connection with another person. And so I really think that is a great place to start.
Amazing.
So those are a few of my ideas. Any other questions for me?
I think just a comment on that is, you're really pointing to something that you kind of have to do anyway when you're in person, right? You got to sometimes lighten up a situation. Any first date is awkward, right? I think we're just seeing it at a more fun level. What you're doing, Rachel, is you're normalizing it. You're normalizing it.
Normal now.
Yeah.
And just because it's different than what we're used to doesn't mean it can't be successful.
Exactly.
And like I said, for those who feel like it really doesn't work for them, I respect that, but they should take that time and be productive with that time, regardless.
Right, right. What do you think of, ideas when a good idea comes, but a person has decided, for now I just can't do this because I have to meet someone and I have to be able to see them in person in order to really feel the connection. What's this like I guess the mindset of, there's a lot of trust involved. It's like, what, if it's not meant to be, if he's supposed to be the one or she's supposed to be the one, it'll be
Right.
in 2 months when this is over, hopefully. That's the other thing. And then the other question, you could address that, but also just in terms of flying, like are some people flying at this point, or are people
So
still waiting?
people are getting flights. People are getting flights. Otherwise, they're driving. I mean, I have a guy who's flying to California, and he'll be there he got a ticket for Shavuos, so that's great. That
Okay.
happened. Um, it's really a case by case kind of thing. For the girl who wants to not date now and she wants to wait, like I don't think it's fair to hold somebody up. So she's
Right.
gonna have to know that that opportunity might come around, it might not come around. I don't know. But if she's really
Right.
kind of has her heart set on not dating right now, which I respect, then that opportunity might come and that opportunity might go. If this goes on, I don't know how long this is going to go on, but if it goes on indefinitely, 6 months, a year, I don't know that it's, in her best interest or his best interest. Probably more for the girl. I don't know that it's in her best interest to hold off on dating for that long, because once you start kind of getting out of circulation, you kind of get out of circulation. People are not thinking of you, people don't know you exist, and you're kind of getting out of the practice of going out and trying to move things forward. And so at a certain point, there's going to have to be a decision of like, well, I might not like it, but I might just have to kind of get used to it because I might not have a choice. So we all make choices. Like I tell people all the time, you can date anyone you want. You can be as picky as you want. You can ask for the Shemayim and the Aretz. Just don't complain to me you don't have a date, right? Like everything comes with a consequence. So you can be saying I don't want to date on Zoom, but in a year from now, if this is still going on, you can't complain to me that you're not married. I don't know what to say, right? So we have to make choices, and I respect everyone's choice, but we have to realize that with choices come, sometimes consequences. That guy that's a great guy who said yes to you might walk, you know?
I think, but again, there's like a little bit of a silver lining to it. For, let's say, I have a lot of girls, that I speak to who are just, they're a little burnt out on dating, right? They're just a little burnt out, and they've needed, so to speak, an excuse to take a break.
And you know what? And that's what I said. For some people, that could be a great thing. Take a break, work on, focus on yourself,
Right,
re-energize your batteries. That's great. But then make sure to use that time productively, which is great. Like it
right.
could really work to your benefit if you're able to do that. That's great.
And then you can say, okay, now I'm ready. Now I'm ready. Even
Fresh.
I'd prefer not to be on Zoom, but you know what? This is still the situation.
Right. Right.
So, because we don't know what's going to happen. God willing, as they open things up, things will not increase, but
Right. Who knows? We don't know. We
we
don't know
don't.
anything.
We just don't know, and I don't see it happening so soon.
Where,
So,
well, we've always been in Hashem's hands, but somehow this is like day by day. Things change so
isn't
fast.
it
We have
amazing?
no idea.
It's amazing. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh, we're so not in control. It's like, hello, people. We've never been in control.
Yeah. But we felt like we've been in control. So,
Sure,
exactly.
sure.
Um, just a few other things that I know that people always want ideas of what to do. Like I had a couple that were doing cooking classes together, and they both like had all the ingredients, and he made the this and she made the that, and they were following some ingredient. They were just some recipe, and they were just laughing and joking together. You can do something really light and fun that way. All the virtual museums that I talked to you about. Um, some great game sharing Pinterest boards on different topics that might interest you. There's all these, like I said, scavenger hunts. There's like so many great, like making different musical playlists, maybe not during Sphera, but afterwards. And there's so many endless ideas of things that can, happen that are fun. I feel like it brings out a totally different side of people. And that's kind of good, because it's forcing you to like step outside your comfort zone. And in general, this is a new relationship. It's stepping outside your comfort zone. You're both doing it together. So it's kind of, not so bad when you can have someone by your side that you enjoy to spend it with.
I don't
So
know if you were using Zoom before all of this to see some of your clients, but I see clients on telehealth. I was coaching and therapy I can only do in certain states, but now I could do it in most states because of COVID. They loosened a lot of the laws. But I've been using Zoom for years, and there are people that I've never met, but yet we have a very, like you and me,
Sure.
where there's no noticeable barrier until we actually meet them. We'll feel an even stronger connection. But I think that there's just some we've just been doing it already, so it's kind of something that we've just been doing. And
yeah, so if you've ever had a Zoom relationship, I mean, not male female, but I'm saying if you've ever
right.
had a Zoom like friendship, right? So it's not so hard to see if chemistry is there. For most people, it's like, I like this person, I get along with this person, I have what to say to this person, right? And so for most people, it's been fairly comfortable. And then there are always the situations where like, I really need a face-to-face date to see where this is headed, if it is what I think it is. And that definitely happens. But for the most part, a lot of my couples have been doing really, really nicely. And for a lot of them, like I'm finding that a lot of my girls who don't usually have dates are having lots of dates.
That's amazing.
Lots of dates, because they're all of a sudden branching out. They're going to these speed dating events. People aren't looking at them, waist down. It's working to their benefit, and they're great, great girls. Guys are giving more things a chance because they don't have to pay for a date. It's just a Zoom call, right? So a lot of great things are happening. So I'm hopeful. I'm very
and I'm also big on like networking. Like one of my daughters, went out with a guy, and it wasn't for her, but she knew someone who he was for, and they're married, and so if you don't, you're just meeting, you're just seeing who are these, some more of Hashem's creatures, and one of them might be mine, but one of them might. Maybe you can address maybe one more aspect, either something that you had in mind, or I'm just curious about how families are kind of meeting on Zoom, if there's any of that, like getting to know the family in a couple that, let's say, has gone further along. They started before COVID. Now they're moving in the direction.
So I've had families that have met over Zoom. Obviously they can't meet in person. And that has been good. It's worked very nicely. I actually predict that after this whole thing is over, that people might actually want to start with a Zoom date, because why should she fly in? Or why should I take her out and drive 3 hours to go pick her up when this is like completely nothing to talk about? I predict that this is going to be used as like, let's have a Zoom date. Let's have a conversation. We'll have a Zoom date. And if we both agree, then let's go on a real date.
I think we've needed this. We've needed this because people
and then
are just
it'll
so
prevent
picky.
burnout. It'll make people say yes more often and keep more of an open mind when normally they might not have.
Right.
So I feel like it could be a good thing for everybody.
Yeah, when I just said because they're so picky, I didn't mean it in a negative way. It's just like you have to really choose who am I going to spend my time with. It takes a lot. It's exhausting. I don't know about for the guys, but it's very exhausting for girls to like just mentally go through the whole thing and get ready for the date.
I mean, I have a guy who gets up at like 5 o'clock in the morning. He's at work by 7. He doesn't come home till like 6:37, and then he's got to shower. Then he's got to drive in to the, then he's got to pick up the girl, drive into the city. He's like, and then before I have a date, I got to turn around and drive back. He's like, I got to get to bed. I get up at 4 or 5. He's like, it's impossible. But with this, I could just like come home and jump on a Zoom call, throw on a nice sweater, jump on a Zoom call. And if I really needed to see her face to face, if it ever came to that, I can on a Sunday do that, so that's been really convenient.
It's so less threatening, like we've talked about this, like, oh, my mother, I have a daughter, you have a son, give them your phone number. This is what we used to do before Shidduch resumes, right? You just gave the phone number, you generally had a sense that it was a decent, and either worked or it didn't. How many of our parents met that way, and met because a friend had a friend who did, and that's just the way it is. But I think we've gotten, because of the way it is, it's just been harder to be as open to that. And now it's kind of like, okay.
Well, right, because the commitment is I gotta get all dressed, I gotta go maybe rent I gotta drive, I gotta take them out and pay for the dinner. So there's so much, involved in a first date that I'm gonna be really choosy if I actually want to go on a date with this person, which causes people to say no more often when really they would be more open-minded if it was in a Zoom date. So that's what I'm saying. People are saying yes a lot more often because it's like I could just stay in my house, wear my pajamas and just get dressed waist up and sit down. I don't have to travel anywhere. And that's it. I can be in bed my normal hours. So a lot of people are being much more open to it. It's really doing nicely. Everyone's really kind of flying with it.
So exciting. Yeah. I'm wondering if what we could do is, if we want to wrap up now, but we can invite people when we send this out. I have a chat, a one-way chat where I send out this, and I can post it another, and you post it on your YouTube channel. That if maybe the next one we do, maybe a follow-up in a week or so, people can send questions.
Yeah.
And
So I
this
want
week
to hear
we're
questions
addressing.
from, from moms who are, because this is, specifically for moms, because for moms
Right.
who are having specific situations. Obviously you can always reach out, but I know that there are things coming up. And I think that also there are certain parents who might not be used to using Zoom and are not so familiar with
Right.
it and uncomfortable with it. It's kosher, it's clean, there's nothing bad about it. It's working
Right.
very well for a lot of people. I'm actually going to use it to have a family reunion with my grandmother who lives in Australia and hasn't been able
Wow.
to see a lot of her grandchildren in many years. So, it really could be used in many great ways, and I'm happy to speak in it. But I really would like to hear people's questions. And it could be Zoom related, it could be not Zoom related. I'd love to
Right. Just dating in general. So what we'll do
dating
is
in
when
general.
right.
Exactly.
So you
I
know what
know
I'm
that
going to do? I'm going to put it in the chat box, which I I don't know if everybody sees this. I don't know if it works that way. Maybe just you'll see it.
okay.
I'm not sure how to do
You can
that.
put it on the WhatsApp. You can just
I'll
write.
put it on the WhatsApp, my email address and my phone number, and people can. I'll
And
just
I'm
give it
also
right
going to
now,
attach
actually.
an article that I wrote about Zoom dating that you can
Yes.
share with your kids. Parents can share with their daughters, sons, that can help them out a little bit. So,
Great, great. So you can find Rachel's information at www.dated, the number 8, great, gr, the number 8.com. And you can find my information, Chaya Parkoff, at Spark Insights CCC, Spark Insights Counseling, Coaching, and Consulting. And I've had some funky things going on my website lately, so I'm hoping you get there. If not, you can email me at Chaya Parkoff LCSW at gmail.com. Chaya, CHAYA, Parkoff, PARKOFF, LCSW at gmail.com.
right.
So great to be with
So lovely, so
you.
much fun. And
Yeah.
great to hear what everyone has to say about this.
Yeah, me too. Thank you. I learned a lot, and I think it's great for for the singles as well.
Yeah.
A lot of times our webinars kind of weave, in not just for the moms, but also for
Right.
the young adults or older, sometimes older adults who are single and looking. So I think this is a great opportunity to get some great information
I
from
love it.
my friend Rachel Burnham. And
All right,
good to
Kaya.
see you. Take
You
care.
too.
Have a good
Always a
week.
pleasure. Take care. Bye.
Bye.